Well, I found a very interesting story while doing my research on Japanese war history, and it's very interesting to say at least. But first, listen to this song.
बलूराम एक सिपाही था। बलूराम एक सिपाही था। जापान वार में मर गया। जापान वार में मर गया। क्वार्टर मास्टर स्मार्ट था। क्वार्टर मास्टर स्मार्ट था। उसने राशन निकाला। उसने राशन निकाला। बलूराम का बदन जमीन का नीचे है। बलूराम का बदन जमीन का नीचे है। बलूराम का बदन जमीन का नीचे है तो हमें उसका राशन मिलता है।
It's catchy, no? It's a regimental song of Assam Rifles named Badluram Ka Badan. I found this song on Reddit, and just because of this song, I unraveled the whole fucking campaign of Japan in this part of Asia known as Burma. Well, Burma campaign was the ambitious project of the Japan Imperial Army during World War II. Yeah, a brilliant time to be a Japanese. The Imperial Japanese Army was under this guy, and it has been said that they were also under influence under the Netaji. Okay. We will talk about the action later. But first, we need to look at the theater where it took place. Let me get my atlas for that. Yes, it's a student atlas. This bottleneck region is known as the Siliguri Corridor, and if the Japanese army got this portion, this whole area, they can easily infiltrate into the northern India, which will be a success. So, in order to infiltrate the British East India, the Japanese had to go all the way through these two states. Because in the south, as I said earlier, you have Bay of Bengal, and in the north you have the mighty Himalayas. So that's a tiny window you can get. That's the only possible way the Japanese army can move their troops to the Siliguri corridor. So after reaching the doorstep of the northeast India, Japan launched the Operation Yugo Offensive in the March of 1944, or the Japanese offensive against the Allied forces guarding these two regions. Their main motive was to capture this set of hills because it had a very crucial feature known as the Imphal Kohima road, and it was the one of the major artery, a lifeline to say at least, of this northeast region, because all the troops, all the supplies were carried through this Imphal Kohima road. This war was fought on two fronts. One was Kohima, another one was Imphal. Well, they both came under Assam during that time. So, yeah, this is a hint about the origin of that catchy regimental song. Imphal war started from around 8th March and ended around the 3rd of July. I have written the dates here, just I don't get confused. Meanwhile, the Kohima war was fought in three different stages. Kohima war started around 4th of April and ended around 22nd of June. And it was one of the most fierce and gruesome battles that area, those hills, witnessed in the recent history. Happy from 3rd to 16th April focused on only one thing, and that was just to capture that Kohima Ridge. You know, that famous road between the Imphal and the Kohima.
Most of the first clashes occurred on the roads, where the Japs had tried to establish roadblocks. Our infantry and tanks, after heavy and difficult fighting, succeeded in driving back the enemy and reopening the roads.
But they were defeated. Japan fled. And in fact, most of the casualties from the Japan side were during the time when they were fleeing the scene. Well, let's talk about the fun stuff, shall we? So, where's the Badlura, the legend, the myth himself in this whole ruckus? I'm now going to give you a small story about the real origin of this song. There should be no surprises when I say that Badluram was a soldier in Kohima War. Yes, indeed. The Assam Rifles fought the Kohima and the Imphal War alongside the soldiers from the Commonwealth. He was the rifleman in the 1st Battalion of the British Indian Army, and he died from a gun wound during the war. Facing the 15th Army of the Japanese Imperial Army, led by this guy, Lieutenant General Kenya Mutaguchi. I hope I pronounced it right. Okay, please don't eat me up on that. I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrong. Battle in which Badluram fought, many historians claim that it is the one of the greatest battle British ever fought. Well, that's quite a feat to achieve. He died on the battlefield. So after death, the quartermaster, well, let me pronounce, I hope I pronounced it right, Kandrappa Rebongchi. I'm really terribly sorry if I messed it up. Forgot to remove his name from the ration list. So, well, he did an oopsie. But a good oopsie, I should say. See, the 1st Battalion was surrounded by the Japanese from all the sides, and their supply chain was cut, and the option of airdrop was not available because they were fighting among the hills. And so when, of course, when you drop something from the air, say a helicopter, there's a high chance it might go down the valley or just fell in somewhere else, and the soldiers will not locate it. They will fail to locate it. They can't. So it's not an option. So what happened when Badluram was dead and the company didn't know this fact, they knew this fact, so they kept sending the rations of the Badluram's account. It's very easy to understand, like he's dead in real life but not dead in documents, so they are supplying the ration on his behalf. But he's dead, so he can't consume it, so it will act as a reserve or a storage. You get it, right? You get it. So when the benefactor is dead and all the rations are stored as a reserve food, and your supply chain is cut by the Japanese, has been cut by Japanese, what will happen? You will not die of starvation. You will consume that stored ration, food material, whatever, to stay alive, right? And you know what? That ration includes ammo, so you will also not run out of bullets in case there is no supply of bullets. So after the siege of the 6th April by Japanese, these soldiers survived just because there was an miscommunication between the quartermaster and the company back in Assam. They consumed that reserve ration, they fed on those food materials, and they fought. They held their ground until the backup arrived. So that's the thing. If you have listened to that lyrics of that song, you know that what is all about. This song is very basic, simple and funny, and you should check out the soldiers performing this song. It's on YouTube. And the story of the quartermaster itself is real interesting one. Like he was making food and then fucking grenade struck the frying pan. It's a real nice story. It's on Wikipedia, you can check it out, it's publicly available.